They called him the Possessor of Two Horns. But no one truly knows his real name. Was he a prophet, a king, a myth, or a warrior forged by divine command? Dulcarnain, a name shrouded in mystery, mentioned only briefly in the Qur'an, yet powerful enough to echo across centuries. He was a man who did what no other had done, ruled the East and the West, erected a wall against the most terrifying beings to ever threaten mankind, and walked side by side with the unseen. Who was he? And more importantly, why does his story matter now, more than ever? This is not just a story. It is a mirror, a lesson hidden in time, a legend stitched with power, humility, and destiny. But before we dive deep into the sands of history, ask yourself, what if everything we feared, the end times, the prophecy, the beings locked away behind the mountains, was not folklore, but prophecy in motion? This is the story of Dulcarnain, the gatekeeper of mankind. The disbelievers asked the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, tell us about the one who traveled to the ends of the earth. The Quraysh, spurred on by the Jews of Medina, were attempting to test the Prophet. They demanded signs, asked about the people of the cave, the Ruh, soul, and this mysterious figure, Dulcarnain. In response, the 18th chapter of the Qur'an, Surah Al-Kahf, was revealed, and in it, a legend awakened. They ask you, O Muhammad, about Dulcarnain. Say, I will recite to you about him a report. Surah Al-Kahf, 1883. Who was this man? Some scholars linked him to Alexander the Great, others to a noble king of Yemen. But the truth is deeper. Ibn Kathir, one of the foremost Islamic historians, describes Dulcarnain as a powerful and righteous ruler, not driven by greed or fame, but by faith. He was not merely a conqueror, he was a guardian, entrusted with divine knowledge and power. The Quran tells us, indeed, we established him upon the earth, and we gave him to everything away. That means Allah didn't just give him resources, He gave him mastery over land, people, time, and even the forces of nature. But here's the part that grips the heart. Despite being granted dominion over the entire world, Dulcarnain did not become arrogant. He didn't seek worship. He didn't build statues of himself like Pharaoh or demand tribute like Nimrod. Instead, he submitted again and again to the will of Allah. Can you imagine that? Having all the power in the world, yet bowing to a greater authority, not out of fear, but out of love, he journeyed to the place where the sun set. And there, as the Quran narrates, he found it setting in a dark, muddy spring. He met a people there, and Allah gave him a choice: punish them or treat them kindly. His response? Profoundly balanced. As for one who wrongs, we will punish him. Then he will be returned to his Lord, and he will punish him with a terrible punishment. But as for the one who believes and does righteousness, he will have a reward with the best reward. And we will speak to him from our command with ease. What ruler speaks like this? What conqueror prioritizes justice and mercy over brute force? This wasn't just a campaign of war. It was a mission of reform. And Dulcarnain continued, eastward, until he reached a place where the sun rose upon a people without protection. Imagine it, a land so barren, they had no shelter from the burning sky. Yet again, he didn't judge them. He observed, he learned, he moved on. But it was on his final journey that he met a people whose plea would shape the future of humanity. Between two mountains, he found a tribe so isolated that they could barely speak his language. Desperate and afraid, they cried out, "O Dulcarnain, indeed Gog and Magog are great corruptors in the land. So may we assign for you an expenditure that you might make between us and them a barrier?" This was no ordinary threat. YAJUJ and MAJUJ were not just wild tribes. They were a terrifying force destined to be unleashed near the end of time. Their story was so vital that even the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, warned, "Woe to the Arabs from the evil that has approached." Today a gap has been made in the wall of Gog and Magog, like this, and he made a circle with his fingers. Dulcarnain had the power to exploit this fear. He could have taxed them, ruled them, demanded their loyalty. But instead, he said something awe-inspiring. That in which my Lord has established me is better than what you offer. So assist me with strength. I will make between you and them a dam. In other words, he told them, I don't need your gold. I serve a higher purpose. Help me for your sake, not mine. And with that, he constructed one of the greatest barriers in human history. Massive blocks of iron, stacked to the sky, sealed with molten copper, an engineering feat beyond the comprehension of his time. A barrier so strong, it held back the tide of destruction for millennia. But what makes this moment more chilling is what came next. He didn't take credit. He didn't call it his wall. He said, "This is a mercy from my Lord. But when the promise of my Lord comes, he will make it level. And ever is the promise of my Lord true." He knew nothing lasts forever, not even walls made of iron and fire. Let that sink in. Even the strongest barrier, created by the mightiest of men, will one day fall. This was not just a wall. It was a countdown, a delay, a protection, but not a permanent one. One day, Yajuj and Majuj will return, and the world will be shaken. And here's the haunting part. That day may be closer than we think. Imagine a world where evil grows unchecked, where people stop praying, stop caring, stop standing up for what's right. Imagine a world where justice is mocked, where mercy is forgotten. Now look around you. Doesn't it feel eerily familiar? Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "They will break through the barrier every day until they are almost able to see the rays of the sun. Then the one in charge among them will say, 'Go back, we will continue tomorrow.' And Allah will restore the barrier to its previous state. This will continue until Allah wills for them to emerge. And they will say, 'Go back, we will continue tomorrow, if Allah wills.' Then they will return and find the barrier as they left it. And they will break through and emerge upon the people. One day, a single phrase, Insha'Allah, will make all the difference. So what can we learn from this man who ruled the world? What can we take from his story today in our modern chaos? The answer is not in his power, but in his purpose. It's not about building walls of iron, but walls of faith. Dulcarnain didn't just conquer land, he conquered his ego. His life teaches us that power without humility is destruction. That leadership is not in taking, but in giving. That the real threat is not Yajuj and Majuj. It's a world that forgets to believe. 1,000 years passed, 1,000 years of peace behind a wall of iron and fire. But even iron rusts, and prophecies never lie. The barrier of Dulcarnain, the dam that once held back chaos incarnate, was never meant to last forever. It was mercy, on borrowed time. And as the wall weakens, as cracks begin to appear, a whisper echoes through time. Woe to the Arabs, for a hole has appeared in the barrier of Yajuj and Majuj. These were not the words of a storyteller, but of the final prophet, peace be upon him, a divine warning, a prophecy in motion. They are many, so many that the prophet, peace be upon him, said, "Out of every 1,000, 999 will be from them." Their features? Small eyes, flat faces, reddish hair, unrecognizable, inhuman. But more terrifying is what they represent: a humanity stripped of mercy, purpose, and order. Pure chaos. They are not just a people, they are a mirror of what we become without divine guidance. Every act of senseless violence, every injustice ignored, every drop of blood spilled in arrogance, they are the shadow of that reality. The prophet, peace be upon him, told us, every day they dig through the barrier, and when they almost see sunlight, their leader says, "Leave it, we'll return tomorrow." But Allah restores it, until one day, he says, "If Allah wills." Then the next day, they return, and the barrier remains as they left it. They break through. They flood the earth like a wave of fury. And when that day comes, there will be no armies, no walls, no nations strong enough to resist. They will drink entire rivers dry. They will consume everything in their path: beasts, crops, metal, bone. The lake of Tiberias, once vast and serene, will vanish in their thirst. And when they reach Jerusalem, they will cry, "We have conquered the people of the earth. Now let us conquer the heavens." They will fire arrows into the sky, and Allah will cause the arrows to return bloodied. In their delusion, they will believe they have defeated even the angels. But amidst this storm, a light remains. In the darkest hour of mankind, when hope is almost lost, Isa ibn Maryam, Jesus, peace be upon him, will descend. Not from myth, but from the heavens. And he will lead the believers, not in war, but in prayer. For this is not a battle of swords. It is a battle of survival, of faith, of endurance. Isa will retreat with the faithful to Mount Tur. Trapped, besieged, a single cow's head will be more precious than gold. Starvation, desperation, but not defeat. Then, the miracle, not of fire or flood, but of a prayer. Isa and his companions will beseech Allah, and Allah will answer, not with angels, but with worms. Yes, worms, tiny creatures that will strike Yajuj and Majuj at the neck, slaying them in a single night. The next morning, silence. The kind of silence that weighs heavy on the soul. A silence after a storm. A believer will descend from the mountain to see the earth, and what he finds will break his heart. The land is a graveyard. Corpses of Yajuj and Majuj stacked upon each other, oceans of decay, nothing untouched. The sky choked, the earth blackened. Even the animals starve. Isa will once again turn to Allah, and Allah, in His mercy, will send birds with necks like camels. They will lift the dead and carry them away. Then the rain will come, cleansing, restoring. The earth will bloom again. In the aftermath, humanity will see a time of peace like never before. A single pomegranate enough for an entire group. A single goat enough for a tribe. A world of justice. A world healed, but only for a time. For after that, the wind will come. A soft wind that will take the soul of every believer, so gently they won't feel it. And only the corrupt will remain. The world will return to darkness. And then, the trumpet. The end. But before that moment, this story, the story of Dulcarnain, is not just a tale of power. It is a divine blueprint. He was a man of strength, yes, but of balance. He punished evil, yet rewarded good. He ruled empires, yet submitted to God. He possessed power that could bend the skies, yet chose justice over vengeance. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, 4 men ruled the entire earth. 2 were believers, Dulcarnain and Suleiman, and 2 were disbelievers, Nimrod and Nebuchadnezzar. And a 5th shall rise, the Mahdi. But make no mistake, Dulcarnain's story is not just about the past. It's a warning for the future. The world today feels eerily familiar. Injustice spreads like wildfire. Greed masks as ambition. People crave influence, but not wisdom. Leaders rise, but few lead with mercy. And behind it all, the shadow of Yajuj and Majuj looms closer. Each war, each collapse of morality, each denied truth, it's a crack in the wall. And one day, one final crack will shatter it. So we ask again, what kind of person are you becoming? When the wall breaks, will you be with Isa, seeking refuge, protecting faith? Or will you be swept away with the flood of those who laughed, mocked, and ignored the signs? Dulcarnain lived not for glory, but for duty. He protected the weak, uplifted the righteous, and remembered always that his power was not his own. His name may be lost to time, but his legacy lives in every heart that chooses submission over pride, justice over tyranny, and faith over fear. This is the lesson. Power fades, walls crumble, but faith endures. Build your wall today. not with iron, but with prayer, charity, kindness, and truth. Be like Dulcarnain, not in might, but in mission. And now, it's your turn. Share this message. Spread it like fire, because someone, somewhere, might still be sleeping while the cracks widen. Wake them. Subscribe to the channel. Like the video. And become a part of the barrier that holds back darkness.